access the elevator with fingerprint recognition, and open 3 separate combination locks.
Well, that's easy. We just impersonate the agent who stole the ledger in the first place, and I get to wear a mask.
Unfortunately, even if you could make it through every other security measure, you won't beat the last one. That's because it's protected by gait analysis, the step beyond facial recognition. These cameras actually know how the agent walks, how he talks, how he moves, right down to his facial tics.
Who the fuck are you?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending another episode for Lapetina Presents. And I have a special guest. He's a legend in the film industry, not only as an actor, but also as a film director. His name is Sean Cronin from UK, best known for playing villains in movies. He was also the vocalist for the gothic rock band, the Marionettes, which was formed in 1986, and toured bands with Pearl Jam and Nirvana. In 1999, he started his career playing the High Priest, the Mummy, and sequel. Later, he was in small roles with James Bond, The World Is Not Enough, and Harry Potter. In 2015, he played the villain in Mission Impossible, The Rogue Nation. He's been in 85 films as an actor. He directed as a director of photography in 25 films. He directed 15 films as an editor with 9 films. He produced 6 as a producer and a screenwriter as a 2. Hi, how are you, Sean? Thank you for being on my show.
Oh, nice to meet you at last. And I want to thank you for all your lovely support over the years. You've always been there for a lot of filmmakers like me and Howard Ford and some great actors and actresses too. So very lovely to meet you nearly in the flesh. I can't quite touch you, but I can see you. Yeah, very well. I'm very busy just getting ready for the Cannes Film Festival, which is coming up in a few weeks' time, which is quite exciting. So ask me some questions, but I want to talk about just very quickly about The Mummy, because when I was in, as you said, I was in a rock band for many years. We did over 1,000 shows all around the world. And at the time when I started film, I owned a very big nightclub in the West End. Mm-hmm. I was walking one day down the Portobello Road, which is a very famous road, an antique and sort of funky fashion market in London. And I was walking down the road and a lady, she stopped me. She said, "You look really evil." She said, "Do you want to be in movies?" So a week later, I found myself on the set of The Mummy, painted gold from head to foot. They shave off my eyebrows. They shave my legs. They even shave my pubic hair. They put me in a nappy, like a nappy, and suddenly I'm on this movie set, and it's like Shepperton Studios, and they built, you walk in, it's a $200 million movie, and they built ancient Egypt, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I was really, in those days, what they call a walk-on, which is a bit higher than an extra. Then I got a little spot in The World Is Not Enough with Pierce Brosnan was playing James Bond, and some quite funny stories there, because when I went onto the movie set, and there's an actress called Denise Richards. She played Christmas in The World Is Not Enough, and I held her around the waist for 11 days. 11 days. She never said hello to me once, not once. She was quite rude, but it was a great experience working on a movie set, with Pierce Brosnan. He opened a submarine door with my head, and it was a real great experience. And he plays a game, Pierce Brosnan, on set. He was playing a game called backgammon. Do you know the game backgammon? Mm-mm. It's a bit like chess, but it's a game with counters and dice. And I'm very good at backgammon. So I said to him one day, "Mr. Bond, let me give you a game." And he said, no, go away. Anyway, a week later, he said, "Come on." So I beat him by 1 point. So I can say I beat James Bond at backgammon. So and that's kind of how I started. And I was, you know, doing lots of little extra parts. And then one day on Harry Potter, this guy, I can't remember his name now, he was the first assistant director. He said, Sean, with this face, you have to be a proper actor. So I stopped to do extra work. I think it was 2006 or something. And then I became a proper actor and, you know, started to make a living from doing it. So anyway, I talk too much. You ask the questions.
No, thank you. And and I would like to tell the audience, like when I did just a small introduction about Sean, because he has super extended curriculum as in the film industry, and thank you for sharing your experience and those famous movies, because I remember, for example, with the mommy, and the first image come up in my mind is your face when you turn in gold at the beginning of the film. Yes.
Yeah, that was great. It was such a long time ago. It's what, 25 years ago now.
1999. Yes. Actually, I love that movie because I love the ancient Egyptians, all type of movies that I love it. And how was your experience working with Christopher McQuarrie from Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation? How was your experience with him?
Well, it was a funny. Because I went for an audition for a different role. I was going to play, there's a big fight in the Vienna Opera House where Tom Cruise had a big fight with this guy. I was originally supposed to play that guy. And although it was a bigger role, you never really saw the guy's face. And I went along and I was supposed to do all these crazy stunts, but my agent forgot to give me the video of the stunts to learn them. So I go in there, know nothing, and I didn't get the part, and I was so sad. Oh no, I didn't get the role. Anyway, a week later, I got a call from the casting director. He said, look, Sean, they love your ugly face so much that although you didn't get that role, they gave me another role. And the role I play, Simon Pegg, steals my face. So often you have these masks in Mission Impossible. And on the very first day of going down to the set, I find somebody is holding my head under his arm. I said, that's me. And so it was me playing Simon Pegg, playing me. And I was on that film for, I don't know, 2 months. I'm in it for 3 minutes, but the camera only follows me in that 3 minutes. It was a wonderful experience. Chris McQuarrie's lovely. Tom Cruise gets a lot of bad press. What a nice man he was. He treated everybody so well. And there was a funny thing, because I was complaining one day because they only had filter coffee on the movie set. And I said, Tom, I need my espresso coffee in the morning. The next morning, I had my own Italian coffee stand outside my trailer, like a little caravan. He said, there you go, Sean. Is there enough coffee for you? And, you know, really great experience. But unfortunately, on the movie set, one day I was walking through this power plant. It's like a big nuclear power plant where the film was set, that part. And a spider got into my costume. And this spider was a false widow spider. It bit my arm, okay? So the next day I had like a little spot. I thought, oh, ow, ow. The next day, it was like this. The next day, like this. Day 4, my arm was completely black. So the doctor on the movie set, he said, Sean, you have to go to hospital. He said, you've been bitten by a spider. And if the poison gets to here, you're dead. So anyway, so I go to the hospital. They said, no, my God, it's really bad. They put me on intravenous antibiotic. And they said, you can't go back to set. You must be in hospital now for 5 days. I said, you're crazy. I've got my scene with Tom Cruise tomorrow. I said, fill me full of drugs. I'm going to work. So the next day I went in, you know, but they said, you have to come back at night. So I spent 5 nights in hospital on Mission Impossible. So I went in the next day, and Tom Cruise heard about this. He heard that I'd been bitten by a spider. He said, Sean, you're on the wrong movie. You should be on Spider-Man. It was really, really great fun, really great. I say I was there for, gosh, I think I was there for 5 or 6 weeks. You know, it was a really, really wonderful experience. You know, I made a lot of independent movies, but when you're on the big movie set, I mean, Mission Impossible, I think it's 260 million.
I can imagine.
Incredible, like the sets, the amount of people working, it's unbelievable. And there's nothing like that, you know. I mean, the independent films are great, but when you walk onto a movie set like that, it's like, wow.
Exactly. No, exactly. But all these experiences help you a lot in order to be able to produce and direct independent film. Because I noticed like nowadays, the independent films is growing in comparisons years before. I think now people are following more with people, they're doing their own movies and more independent.
Well, in the old days in the movie industry, everybody used to work. So, like, you know, for example, Clint Eastwood started as an extra on a cowboy film. Eventually, he worked himself up. He became this amazing cowboy, you know, icon. And then he went on to direct, and now he's a multi-Oscar-winning director. And the same with the crew. You would start as a runner, or as a third assistant camera, or a third assistant director, and you used to work your way up. Nowadays, if you have an idea, you know how to use a camera, you have a vision, you can, you know, anything is possible. So it's a very different thing. And what I did on the set, particularly of The Mummy and James Bond, you know, in those days, I used to smoke. I don't anymore, but I used to sit. So all the other extras were waiting for their sandwiches in the green room, and I didn't. I said, look, is it okay if I watch? So I would stay on the movie set very quietly and watching how the cinematographer would light the shot and how the director would work with the actors and how everything was working. And you would look at the set and you think, okay, it looks great, doesn't look so good. But then you look in the back of the camera and you see what they've created. And I just said, I want to do this, you know. And, you know, obviously I started with a few short films. One of them won and a film I did called An Unfortunate Woman, won the short film, best short film in Cannes, 10 years ago or something. And I got the bug. So, you know, I've been directing. I'm directing 4 features in the next 18 months. So, and with quite big name actors. So I'm slowly climbing the ladder, you know. Looking forward to working. I'm doing a film, hopefully, if it goes ahead, with Howard Ford, which I'm very looking forward to. He's a wonderful director.
Yes.
I don't know if he made this incredible film called Never Let Go.
Yes.
Angela Dixon plays the lead in it, and she goes to Marrakesh with her baby, and she's having an affair with a senator, a would-be American president, and she's ex-special forces. She goes there, somebody steals her baby, and then the whole film is her trying to get her baby back. But I believe that Howard shot this for almost a micro budget. He went there with a very small crew and made a movie that looks like $5 million.
Exactly.
And, you know,
yes.
Really, he's one of my favorite directors at the moment. Very, very talented. He's really going up and up. Really, in fact, he's coming to stay with me at the Cannes in Cannes,
awesome.
So we're all going to be, you know. I gave him the best room.
I always want to see both of you working together.
There's a film I can't say much about. It's a film that we're hoping to do in the summer, which is quite a big one, and I'm playing quite a big role if it goes ahead. You know, film is very difficult because you try and get the money, then you don't get the money, then you get the money, then you take the money away, and it's very hard to get films made. But if anybody can make films, Howard is the man. You know.
Awesome, and also I appreciate all the anecdotes, all your experience, and also the real life. And in reality, you as a filmmaker, independent filmmaker, your face, because a lot of people have the fixed idea thinking, oh, just make movies is very easy, just anyone can do it. But in reality, it's a challenge to make a movie, even as a short film or a feature film.
Yeah, anybody who makes films knows how hard it is to make. I mean,
exactly.
I've just done a film called Give Them Wings. The producers took 20 years to develop it. I was involved nearly 10 years ago. It took me 8 years to find most of them, was a large portion of the money to make it. You know, only 6 or 8 weeks to shoot it, and then 2 years to edit it. It's an enormous amount of work.
Yes.
It's wonderful. And the wonderful thing about film is once you finally get to the point where you've got the money and you're on that movie set, it's a wonderful collaboration of creativity. So you've got everybody there is there to achieve one goal and to make a lovely film. So, you know, there's a lot of sharks and bad people in the film business. Normally in the kind of financing side, people trying to get their fees and get money and, you know, so I've had quite a lot of bad experiences, not with filmmakers actually, but normally with the people around the business trying to suck blood like vampires from it. But when you finally get the money and you say action for the first time, that's when the magic happens.
Exactly.
And when it's just a wonderful experience. And I just love it, guys. It's very hard when you're on an independent movie set. You're up at 5 a.m. Sometimes you don't finish till midnight. It's crazy, but there's nothing like it. You know, making movies is the best business in the world. It's the most
yes, true. And I see you like you not only do the acting, you're directing, but you do the the edition, which is also oh my God, it's a lot of work. Sometimes people don't sleep for days.
No, it takes a long time, but the only reason I always edit the films I direct because I know them better. I know what I want, and I give it to other editors, and I go no, and I just have to do it myself. I mean, having said that, there are a few great editors that on the next movie I'm not going to edit because I try to give up smoking because I smoke too much. I try to give up drinking red wine because I drink too much. And when you're sitting editing, you're like glass of wine, cigarette. So and I'm now trying to work. What I do nowadays on movies is when we shoot, I go straight away and they edit on the same day. So as I'm shooting, we're editing a film, they sync the audio, and the next morning I go right and I check the rushes. So I still edit the film, but they do what we call the assembly edit. And at the end of the movie, I have a very rough copy of the movie, and then I just go through and I polish it and I change it and make it better. That's a quicker way of working. And also that way you can deliver the film much quicker, because sometimes you finish the movie, everybody's exhausted. So you sleep for 1 month. And then you get all these rushes, all these, all the takes. It's like, oh my God, it's like another mountain. So now we have this rough edit. Everything is neat in order. So it's the way I do it now, because otherwise it kills you. It's too much work,
Awesome. And can you tell us more about the Give Them Wings story? I know you work with amazing talent writer Paul Hanson. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I met Paul, 10 years ago, and he asked me, he was looking for a director to direct his short film, An Unfortunate Woman. Now, An Unfortunate Woman is a true story of Kathleen Mumford, who smothered her own child when he was 5 years old in 1931. The reason she did that, because the boy had cerebral palsy. In those days, this disease was called the Little's disease. He couldn't move, he couldn't see, he couldn't hear. He was completely, almost like a vegetable. And in those days, not so much now, but in those days, if a child could not go to school at 5, if it was disabled, the child would be put into a home or into an institution and would be left to rot. And it's a true story of Ian Carter, who was Paul's best friend and Paul's carer. I think it was his grandmother or his auntie. It was something to do with the family. When I first met Paul is severely disabled. He contracted childhood meningitis when he was just 10 months old. His parents were told that he would never move or speak. They said that he would be dead by the time he's 5. He's now, I think, 56 years old, and he survived. And the great thing about Paul, he said to me, when I first met him, he said, I can't move much, but I can hold a drink. And, he's got this incredible sense of humor. He can, his hands are like this. He writes his screenplay with one finger like this. Takes him a long time. He can't speak properly. He kind of stutters. But what this man has achieved with all this terrible thing happened to him, he had a terrible hand of cards. He was born with this awful disease or contracted this awful disease. And he's written a load more screenplays. So he was the strength behind Give Them Wings. It was because I loved him so much and I wanted to tell this man's story. So, and the rest is history. And I helped him find the money, and eventually we made the film. But it took a long time, and it nearly killed me. It always does.
And you also, you guys won an award for an independent film festival.
We won the London Independent Film Festival last year, and there was another one as well. We are nominated now for a couple more festivals.
Congratulations.
We very nearly got into BAFTA last year, but because with BAFTA, in order to, because it's like the Oscars in America, yes. BAFTA is huge. You have to have 70 cinemas guaranteed. And we had them already, and then COVID again. The new variant, the Omicron or whatever, Omicron variant came, and they cancelled all of the screenings. So hopefully now we're going to try for BAFTA next year. We entered Cannes this year, and we got down to the last 20 from 2000. We didn't get in, we didn't get nominated, but we're very close. So it's, the film has finally been delivered. The film's going to come out, I think, in about 6 or 8 weeks. It will be on all platforms. I was going to send you. I'm going to send you. Did I send you a copy yet or no?
No. Paul sent me his book, but no.
I will send you a private link to the film. I'd love you to.
Awesome. Thank you. It's an honor for me, and my husband will be happy to watch it because he's following you. Also, he loves your work. We are big fans of you. Yes, I'm looking forward for that. And also, I'm waiting to do also an interview to Paul. He asked me about his film, and you're welcome to be part of the interview, so people can learn more in details about the film. And yeah, that'd
be great. I think you should do the interview with Paul on his own. He will tell his side of the story. He's a crazy guy. I mean,
yes,
he's. Nothing stops him. It doesn't matter. I can't move, I can't hear, I can't speak. I gotta work, and he just works and works and works. And he's written a wonderful new it's a war film called John's Journey, another film called The Hill. There's also talk of doing a sequel, because Give Them Wings is about an 18-month or 2-year cycle of his film.
Yes.
And what we might do is go back in time to when he was a boy and all the troubles that he went through, because he had a very difficult life. His father was very disappointed that he had a disabled child. So there was a very bad feeling between, but his father was, just didn't want to acknowledge his son. And in the story, you will see how that plays out. But Paul's been through an awful lot. And against all the odds, he's come through and is now quite successful and very talented and very creative.
Exactly. And I think also Paul is a big example for like a message to everybody that there's no excuses not to reach our dreams, because even in his disability, he is a hard worker person, and like it says, he's a non-stop person. So I think that's the key of his feature film. More, it's inspirational, and nowadays we need more films like this one, that Give Them Wings.
Yeah, the next film I'm doing is a film called Our Kid. It's called Our Kid is an expression that they use up in Liverpool when you talk about my son. Oh, it's our kid, and ironically, it's about another disabled guy. Again, based on a true story. The guy was called Thomas, and it's a similar film to Give Them Wings, similar narrative. It's a very different outcome and a very different ending. But it's strange because I play villains in action movies. That's my speciality. But it's because I had this horrible face.
And you get killed in all of them.
I get killed. I've been the 85 movies I've done. I've died in 79 of them. I used to die in the first 10 seconds. Now I die at the end, so I get paid a bit more. But my true love, my true interest is directing true stories, human interest stories, stuff that really happened. I'm doing another film about Michael Watson, who was a boxer who was knocked out by a very famous boxer in the UK called Chris Eubank in 1991, and ultimately went into a coma. It's an amazing film, again, about how he fought back from being disabled to eventually running the London Marathon, years later. And this film has Muhammad Ali in it. It has Don King. It's full of famous sports personalities. But again, it's a true human interest story about a fight back, a fight for survival against adversity. Because you know, they never expected Michael Watson to live, and he's still alive now and doing very well. So I've got 2 more human interest stories. I'm doing a wonderful vampire movie shooting in the US called Bogeyville. Even God knows none of this place, and I'm directing it. I also play Madison, who is a horrible vampire who eats everybody.
Awesome.
And we're shooting some of that in Nevada and around outside of around Las Vegas and around there. So it's quite exciting. I'm directing that, and I play the main vampire. I'm also coming to New Mexico, to Santa Fe, to make a movie called 6 Bullets to White Rock, which is a good old-fashioned proper Western. And ironically, we are shooting in the same location as Alec Baldwin when he had that terrible accident and he accidentally killed the cinematographer. We're using the same location. But I'm going to make sure our guns are made of licorice so we can eat them so nobody dies, you know, because that was a terrible tragedy, you know.
Happens, it's true. And I have a curious question. You direct and also do the DOP and acting. How can you be able to do that, to be acting and then directed at the same time?
Well, obviously, I'm never the DOP when I'm directing because I can't be behind the camera. But sometimes I do. I become the executive cinematographer if I'm working with maybe less experienced people because. But when directing, it's a different thing because I'm directing all of the other actors and it's my vision. But very often, if I'm doing that, I work with a cinematographer that I know very well that can, or sometimes I might co-direct a film with people. Sometimes I bring somebody else on board because the problem with me, when I tell myself to do something, I always argue with myself. I go, right, Mr. Cronin, you do it like this. I'm not doing it like that. I'm going to do it like this. So I have to, you know, I end up beating myself up. So, it's difficult. I mean, I did a film. I was the cinematographer on a First World War movie called 11. And originally, I also play the horrible at the beginning, and then I become nice. One film I don't die in. I am a villain, but at the end I'm not a villain, which is strange. I don't know. Have you seen 11, the war film, little war film?
Yes, I have it.
Yeah. Yes. And originally I was supposed to be the DOP, the cinematographer on that, but unfortunately the director was a lovely guy, but it was his very first time directing, and although he knew what he wanted as a vision, he didn't know how to get it. And I had more experience, and the financier, a lovely man called Roy Rivet, said, Sean, would you mind co-directing it just to hold, the guy was called Rock, to hold Rock's hand because it's his first time. And although it's still very much his vision, I just knew technically how to make the film. So on that film, I was DOP, director, and one of the lead actors, and that was hard. And we shot this film in 10 days in the trenches in the middle of winter.
I remember I saw the pictures and I was,
Yeah, we had 3 hours. We only had, and at this time of the year, in January, the sun is up at 9 and the sun is down by 3 p.m. 6 hours a day we had to shoot this film. We did 1 week afterwards in interior locations, but the main body of the film, and it was minus 15 degrees. So it was freezing cold. And that was although it wasn't as long as Give Them Wings, that was the hardest movie I ever did. And literally after I finished, I was in bed for a month. I got pneumonia because it was so cold. I got so sick. I thought I'm going to die. I'm going to die now. But that was a real challenge. So that's the only film where I've been DOP, lead actor, and director. And I don't want to do that again, man. It's too much.
I can imagine. Oh, no. And can you please share some advice to the new filmmakers who wants to reach their dreams in this field?
Well, you know, make no mistake, it's difficult. It's hard. It's one of the hardest businesses. I mean, I was in the music business, which is also difficult. But this is very, very hard. It's you know, people underestimate it. When people watch a movie and it's like an hour and a half or 2 hours long. They watch the film. Sometimes they fall asleep, you know, and, you know, you have to realize that that film probably took 50 or 500 people 1 year or maybe 10 years to make. It's a very, very difficult business. It's the most creative and wonderful business. If you're an actor, you have to expect disappointment. You have to manage disappointment. You know, luckily nowadays, I don't really go for auditions anymore. They go, we'll have that horrible, ugly man. You know, I'm kind of a go-to villain. But in the old days, I used to have to go to an audition and there's 200 people there. And, you know, and so the chances of you getting the part are very slim. I'm very lucky. Even in those days, I'd get about, you know, 2 out of 10, I would get them because the casting is very specific. We want a Scarface motherfucker, excuse my language. They get me and I get it. So managing disappointment, never give up, never surrender, because you will come home from this audition, shit, I feel like shit, you know. And the funny thing is, you often, when you do a bad audition or you think you've done a bad audition, you often haven't. I went for an audition to play, again, the Scarface villain in a commercial. It was a commercial for Skyfall. Heineken put $75 million into Skyfall for free. They don't pay the money back. It's sponsorship money. And the only reason they did that is because Daniel Craig has a bottle of beer in his hand. And you can just see the green H of the Heineken through his finger. He went, 75 million, amazing. But I went for an audition for this thing, and I'd been on a movie set the night before. I didn't finish till 5 in the morning. My audition was at 9. I looked like shit. I felt terrible. I went in and I was like, I did, you know, and then a week later they called me back. Hey, and I thought this was the worst audition I ever did. Terrible. Then I got the job and I got £85,000 for 1 day, 3 days work, and it was a matter. So sometimes when you think you didn't do good, you did great, and sometimes you come to the audition, I got that one, I did a really great job, and you don't get it. So, you know, it's managing disappointment. Also, when you go for an audition, you do your best, you walk away, and you forget about it. Otherwise, you sit there going, I could have done this better, I could have done that better, and you don't sleep. So you have to learn to just do the audition, kiss it goodbye. If you're trying to make a movie, you have to finance a movie. Again, you have to keep trying. And someone would say no. If that door closes, knock on the next door, Keep going until you get what you want. The other thing I would advise filmmakers is often you think your work is brilliant because it's your work. So you make a film. Look at my film. And then people go, that's really shit. And you go, but it's not shit. It's great. You have to also understand that you have to look at what is good, look at quality, compare what you do with that, and try and reach above. So that's brilliant. I must do better. So sometimes vanity in your own project. I now look at films that are my first short film, and I was so proud. I made a film. I look now, I don't show it to anybody because it's terrible. So you have to understand and realize that what you do isn't perfect. You have to learn to take criticism, to take critique, to listen to other people's opinions, if they are opinions, not if it's, sometimes, you know, they're just jealous, but often listen to other people. When I finish Give Them Wings, because I'm so close to the movie, so close, I find it very difficult. The movie was nearly 3 hours long. And I said, guys, I love every scene, but you have to also learn to kill your darlings. Sometimes you realize, well, it's too long, and, you know, I don't need a great big wide shot that lasts 5 minutes. So when I finished the movie, I did what I call the director's cut, very long. I wrote to all of the producers, all of the financiers, and all of the actors, and I gave them a secret link. And I said, please, guys, what do you think? Give me your notes. So it's being able to take criticism, act upon it if you think it's, you know, if it's realistic, if it's criticism for the sake of betterment of the film, not of its jealousy. The other thing, as you become more successful, that I would advise people is learn to manage your haters. The more successful you get, the more people you have. Many people, thousands of people that you might have. 99% of your fans love you, but there will be one that hates you. And it might be jealousy, it might be all of the things. I talk to this because I've had a few problems with people saying bad stuff about me and this and that. People that I don't even know these people, but they say this. And, often a rumor starts because, what people say about people is very often not true. It's their interpretation. And I spoke to Tom Cruise about this because Tom Cruise gets a lot of bad press and he's got a lot of appeal. Tom Cruise is this and Tom Cruise is that. He has an agency that manage his 50,000 haters. Wow. He has them to look up because, and you have to learn to, if people are talking about you, then you are successful. It's when they're not talking about you, that's when you want to worry. So if people are saying, this guy's this and this guy's that, that's great. Any press, obviously, with some exceptions, any press is good press, obviously, unless it's, about harassment or, unless it's Harvey Weinstein kind of press, that's never good press. But talking about Harvey Weinstein, I accidentally kissed Harvey Weinstein many years ago. We were at a party in Théo-sur-Mer in Pierre Cardin's Bubble Mansion. It's a great, big, amazing place, all made of bubbles. You should look at it online. Théo-sur-Mer in the south of France, a bubble mansion. Anyway, this is before Harvey Weinstein's downfall. I knew these people. I knew his girlfriend, who a lady called Georgina at the time, and I knew her very well. And everybody at that time, Harvey Weinstein was the biggest film producer in the world. There was nobody bigger. He was always an arrogant, evil kind of man, but everybody had to, Harvey. Anyway, so I go to this party, and they said, yeah, we're going to introduce you to Harvey Weinstein. Somebody put some ecstasy, MDMA, in my gin and tonic. I didn't know. Anyway, so I drink my drink. An hour, when you have ecstasy, it makes you feel like you want to kiss everybody. You want to, I love you. So I didn't even know someone had put this in my drink. So 2 hours later, I love everybody. I want to kiss everybody. Mwah, mwah, mwah. So Harvey Weinstein comes. I go, Harvey, I've been waiting to meet you. Mwah, 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 mwah. I'm trying to kiss him. He said, get this fucking man out of here. Ironically, 10 years later, when I did this, I had long hair. It's a long time ago. 10 years later, I met Harvey Weinstein in Cannes at a hotel called the Marionettes, I think it was. And I approached him. This is again before his downfall. And I said, oh, Harvey, do you remember me? And he said, luckily he didn't. And I gave him my card. You know what he did? He took my card, threw it on the floor, and walked away. And I thought, what an arrogant bastard, you know. And then literally 2 years later, bang, you find out how bad this man really was. And what you know, and that's one other little thing I'd like to say is that there's a lot of arrogance. A lot of people think they are superstars. We are the entertainment. So when the fireman or the policeman or the soldier or the doctor or the nurse, they come home from work, they put on a movie to be entertained, exactly, to relax, to escape from reality. Mm-hmm. And we are, I won't say just, but we are just the entertainment. Nobody in this world is better than anybody else. You know, I'm a big star. No, you're not. You're an actor, you're a creative, and we are all equal. So try not to be arrogant, to look down on other people, to treat people badly. You know, you still get a lot of this in the business where, you know, the agent won't talk to you. Oh, my guy's too much of a big star. Who the fuck are you? You know, you get, so stay humble, stay grounded. You know, I talk to anybody. I don't care if he's a little extra. People phone, they message me on Facebook. Hi, Sean, how do I become an actor? I don't say, well, get a fucking agent. You know, I say, well, make sure you get a show reel, and, you know, always try and help other people, champion other people. And that way, you know, you spread good karma. If you're nice to people, people are nice to you. So be humble, be nice, never give up, never surrender. And that's my advice to filmmakers and actors as well. Manage disappointments. Don't be disappointed. Just, if you don't get that one, go for the next one, you know.
Yes, and thank you for giving this advice, especially with someone like you, that you've been and big budget films, and now you're in the independent films, making project after another project. You're a non-stop filmmaker, and your bias is priceless. And before we go, so how can people follow and contact you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I have my friends. The annoying thing with Facebook, you are limited to 5,000 friends. I have 22,000 friend requests, and I can't answer them. I can't add them, which is annoying. So I have a fan page as well. I also have Instagram, but unfortunately my Instagram got hacked by a Nigerian guy from, he was trying to sell Bitcoin.
Yes, I received a request, I remember.
Yeah, what's that going on? You know, suddenly he's going to people, hey, he hacked my account. He's going, hey, what's up? You want to buy Bitcoin? So, but I have Instagram, I have Twitter. I'm okay on social media. I'm a bit older. I'm an old school guy. I'm the wrong side of 50. Just don't tell anybody. So I'm not quite as obsessed with social media as my children are. But obviously I'm available. Anyone feel free to email me, sean@magnificentfilms.co.uk. I'm very busy, so I don't always answer straight away, but I will always find time to answer. So yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and obviously by email, whatever. I'm always around. As long as I'm still alive, I will call you back.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sean, for your time. It's an honor for me to do the interview. And what about your Chihuahua? You stopped with pictures of Chihuahua. He's still alive.
Wait there, I get my Chihuahua. Before we go, I find my Chihuahua. He's from Mexico. He's a Chihuahua.
Mexicano.
Oh, he's quite old though. His tongue hangs out. He hasn't got many teeth because he's quite old. This boy. But you can use him as a phone. Hello? Hello. Yeah. You've heard of the iPhone? This is the WA phone. It's got MPW. It's got yellow tooth and Wi-Fi, and the battery lasts 2 days. And he's great. He's very mellow. He's a very mellow, lovely boy. He was given to me 10 years ago by Mrs. Brady, old lady. Unfortunately, she died. And the daughter said, look, would you like to, I was looking after him, and then she died. He said, do you want to keep the Chihuahua? But his name then was Achilles, which is obviously a Greek god. And I thought, this name is too pretentious. So I said, I'm going to call him Wawa for short. So I call him Wawa. I walk around this local park. There's a Japanese lady. She's 95. She power walks around the park. She stopped. She said, oh, very cute. What's his name? I said, Wawa. She said, konnichiwa, which means hello in Japanese. And now his name is konnichiwa. Yeah. Anyway, Angela, so lovely to see you. Goodbye from me and goodbye from konnichiwa.
Oh, thank you.
Corazón, te necesito tanto, por favor. Estoy esperando que tú vuelves a mí. Quiero tus besos sentir. Eres como un sueño que me hace feliz. Mi amor, siempre recuerda que aquí estoy.